I'm not even in the middle of the camera.
No, and we're live. All right. Well, thank you for joining us today. Every so often, I really like to just kind of sit down with one of our customers and find out what they've been working on. Really kind of see through their lens on what they're looking at in the market and then kind of understand some future goals and maybe projects that you're hoping to achieve with your role. I'm here today with Shellie Grieve of ServiceNow, who's the head of learning innovation and emerging technologies. She's a multi-award-winning thought leader in AI-driven driven learning solutions, and really wanted to kind of talk with us about some of the really cool initiatives that you're working on and all the amazing results that you're getting.
Thanks, Josh. Really nice to be here. Nice to hang out with you again.
Absolutely, always a pleasure talking to one of my favorite Aussies. So let's kind of set the stage for everybody, and just can you tell us a little bit about your role and what you're focused on day to day, understanding that ServiceNow is a rapidly moving, rapidly changing enterprise organization. So I get that, and so what you're doing today may be different than tomorrow, but as of today, what are you working on?
Well, every day is different here, that's for sure, but I lead the Learning Innovation and Emerging Technology part of our global learning and development team. So we support both our customers, our partners, and also all of our employees here at ServiceNow. So potentially many millions in our audience, and this has been an amazing place to be. So on a day-to-day basis, I'm looking at things like what's the latest and greatest with AI, what's happening with immersive tech, how do we find technology that allows our learning to stick and actually provide really engaging experiences for those learners that are coming on to ServiceNow University.
Fantastic. That sounds like a not insignificant challenge.
It gets a little
So
crazy.
speaking of though, sorry, say that again.
I said it gets a little crazy.
Oh, I can imagine. And so, but I mean, speaking of crazy, speaking of challenge, kind of what's the biggest boulder you're trying to push uphill right now?
I think there's two things. I think our learners terms of learning these days in the way that they engage with content, receive content. With the evolution of AI and tools like ChatGPT being more readily available to everybody, they're expecting to get just-in-time learning, in-the-moment training, and that's a massive pivot away from what has been for many years in terms of a lot of e-learning. We're trying to find tools that are able to test out on us and being able to validate people have what they say they have has been really important for us as well.
I think all of those are incredibly important things, and I think we could have a whole separate conversation about how effective and how quickly it's working, because I know that you guys are doing some awesome stuff. So about your role, you've been with ServiceNow for a bunch of years now, but with the rise of AI kind of infiltrating all of our digital learning tools. Really kind of how has your role evolved and kind of how is the tooling that you're using now evolved?
Yeah, well, I think back even just the last 2 years, there's been a significant amount of change, especially in the last 2 years. My focus 2 years ago was just on our external audience, mainly our partners. So we certainly have had a massive change where ServiceNow made the decision to merge all of our learning and development teams together. And so that has changed the audience that I've been serving in the role that I'm doing. But I think also that the tech is moving so fast. So things that felt very stagnant in learning and development for a very long time are not so stagnant anymore. So we kind of knew who the main players were in learning and development a couple of years ago, and there wasn't a lot of change in that. You do negotiations of big 3-year contracts and things like that, so that you just knew that that's where you were leaning in fully and wholly. But every day of my job right now, I'm seeing 4, 5, 6 demos of new capabilities that didn't exist 2 months ago, and it's really hard to keep pace with that. And every day I'm surprised and delighted by new things that are happening. So that's really important. And I think also with that the pace at which ServiceNow's own platform is changing and how fast we are moving to service our customers and be the AI platform for digital transformation, that is driving a lot of the behaviors that we're doing internally as well.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, we're experiencing the same. Obviously, we're not at the same scale as you guys, but I mean, just the amount of kind of like both tool noise, but also tool capability. So, what are kind of a couple tidbit tools that you may want to share with the audience? Obviously, Bongo, because you're here and you're winning some awards with us, but don't need to plug us. But anything else, and again, you don't have to name names, but I mean, anything else that you're really kind of seeing kind of move some mountains.
I think there's a massive kind of pivotal moment around simulation and validation of skill via micro simulation, going beyond following the bouncy ball situation where you're able to interact with something and you choose your own adventure. So something that is personalized and pertinent to that learner, that's a real change, and the technology is there to be able to do it. I'm not necessarily seeing the technology exist solely with one vendor every time. So you have to be a little creative how you do some of these things. But that's certainly big. Video content creation has come in leaps and bounds. So our content creation teams can do so much more with less now, and really impactful things that you can do and embed in video, localization capabilities that we're being able to do. That's been huge. Learning platform capabilities, just that intersection where you can do a lot of things with AI to be just in time or in a moment of need. And I think the other thing for us is, a big focus for us is around that sort of DNA of somebody's skills and how we can know something about somebody and be able to direct them in a pathway that's more personalized than ever before. So I think they're probably some of the big things. And we're fortunate enough to work with a lot of really amazing vendors and a lot of emerging technology that's coming out in the market at the moment. So I don't have well, obviously Bongo is my absolute favorite, but there's many vendors that we work with that do amazing things. But I think for me, what I love the most is actually seeing that when we do bring that technology in, whether it's for our back office L&D team, we have a team of about 600 or 700 people in our L&D space.
Wow.
It's super big. So
I was gonna say you got a team that most organizations would move mountains to get.
Exactly. So we service, like I said before, such a huge audience in terms of 30,000 employees, but millions of customers and partners in our ecosystem.
Yeah.
And we do sales enablement, leadership enablement, and things like that. So for me, I like two things. I like to delight our learners with great experiences. And not just push content out for the sake of content, but I also like to delight those 700 people that have to produce this, maintain, upkeep, whether that be our academy programs, whether that be our micro learning, whatever that is. It's really good to delight them equally as our learners in the experience in creating whatever it is that they're creating and facilitating and delivering.
Right. No, and that's an awesome ethos to kind of live by and be able to execute on it. So one of the things that we're able to work on together that hopefully has already won an award and hopefully a few more was a sales enablement use case for your internal sales team. Love to unpack that a little bit. What kind of brought that on? Can you give us a little bit of background and context around what that was about?
Yeah, so on the back of each year, we do our sales kickoff, which is where we bring 6,000 to 8,000 people together in Las Vegas and immerse people into some amazing experiences. What was different this year was we were going very hard in the physical space in terms of creating new and amazing ways for our sales reps to learn our corporate narrative and what was changing and us becoming the AI platform for digital transformation. And so we needed a way to validate that they could deliver that pitch to our customers, that they understood the pivotal change that the company was making. And we did that in some amazing ways in person, but how do we follow on from that, from the physical space to ongoing enablement in that space? And so we had 6,500 or so people that are our quota carrying people across ServiceNow and our sales team. And we needed to make sure that they understood that, and we were able to validate and measure those skills. We need every rep to basically be able to internalize that story and make it feel very natural coming out of their mouth and be able to deliver that with confidence.
And so didn't work. But before we get to that, what was the biggest challenge? What was the thing that worried you the most, kept you up at night trying to get that out?
To be honest, I when it came, by the time it came to me, it didn't worry me so much because I actually could picture what the solution was, because we have been lucky enough to work with Bongo for a little while. But what I think was the scale, and I think the thing that kept me up was how it was going to be received, and was that going to be a great experience. So we also had a ridiculously tight timeline to turn this around. So they work down to the wire in terms of that SCO event, in terms of what the messaging is going to be for the year. And so we only receive the assets to be able to build the enablement around that very, very last minute. And so we did what we did, and I'm sure we'll dive into what we did. We managed to turn that around in hours and days, not weeks and months. So that's the part that was kind of worrying me, that could we do all of the things, because we had people using the technology for the first time. We were putting it onto our main internal employee platform for the very first time. We were giving it out to an audience for the very first time. So although we had experience with Bongo in other places at ServiceNow, this was very tight timelines, a few new people, a few new bits of technology to mess with, and we were trying to leverage a bunch of different technology to bring the experience together as well.
Right. No, and then I remember that time frame intimately, and that was one of my concerns also. Well, okay, so why Bongo? Why did you guys look at us? I mean, you have used this in some other areas of the business, but why did you see us as a fit for the sales enablement solution?
Well, we really needed something fast, we needed something flexible, and we also needed something that was impactful. So Bongo gave us and our reps a psychologically safe place for them to be able to practice their pitch, get instant feedback, and revise that until they felt confident. So it allowed us to automate all of the admin burden with this, but keep the human side with this in terms of coaching, reflection, quality, and delivery. We were able to, with Bongo, you're able to allow a learner, or in this case, a lot of our sales reps, they were able to submit as many times as they like. And then every time they practice, they were able to get instant AI feedback, and that allowed them to see whether they were confident or nervous, whether they had pause, word, pitch, pace, etc. And for many people, when they're experiencing Bongo for the first time, it's the first time that they're getting any of that kind of feedback. And so it's often quite addictive that you see them do multiple recordings of the same thing. And that's exactly what we wanted to encourage. It wasn't about getting it right the first time or getting it right as a perfect score, but giving them a really safe place for them to practice and practice and practice. So they were able to get the instant AI feedback, and we were also able to set learning objectives on the task at hand, where they could get feedback against exactly what we were looking for our reps to do. So we were able to say, we were able to be compelling in these points of the ServiceNow story. We are able to understand why we are the AI platform for digital transformation, and we were able to validate that. So they got both an AI feedback score on their sentiment, and they got feedback on the learning objectives as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, so how did the initiative go? I mean, obviously it's in the past, but I mean, what was it a success? What were some of the the KPIs that came out of it?
Yeah, so hugely successful. We had more than 93% completion rate, but that was also not only our quota selling sales team, but we also extended out to other parts of the business as well. So we had close to 7,000 completions.
Wow.
On average, when they finally were practicing, when they finished what they were happy with and submitted, the average score was 9.3 out of 10 for our reps, which is incredible, and a really comfortable place for us to feel that those skills were validated. But what's some of the other things that were really important was they did do a version of this last year where they could see the definition of something that was good, and it was on each of the sales reps managers to actually give them one-on-one coaching and one-on-one. So we estimated this was about 3,000 hours of save time as well. But overall, the CSAT feedback was incredible. I think it was something like 4.6 out of 5 for our sunset. So it was incredible, and it's the feedback was from our reps that this was a preference for them over traditional training, and they really enjoyed the experience. So it was good for us to be able to meet them where they were at in our normal learning platform. So we were able to embed the Bongo experience directly in the learning platform that they're familiar with. We were able to wrap around some amazing enablement material with that really, really fast. and super proud to say that this is what's picked us up the recent award with Brandon Hall for best sales training program for our extended enterprise. So that was super great as well. It was a great example of what's possible when AI and learning design work together in harmony and give a really, wonderful learning experience, but good validation for us as a company that our sales force is ready to deliver this as well.
I love those results, and I love projects that have clear wins and business metrics that we can point back to, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That allows us to do more of the fun stuff that we like doing.
Yes.
Okay, well let's zoom out a little bit. So you've been doing some really amazing things. You've been surfing the wave of nonstop tsunami innovation. If we fast forward 2 years, how do you see your learning strategy evolving? I mean, where kind of paint the picture with a big brush. Realistic, but where does 2 years take us?
So reading the tea leaves of where technology is evolving and just the incredible amount of innovation we've seen in the last 2 years, that's a really hard thing to predict. But what I would say is that I feel that learning won't be a separate system. The learning management system or an LXP as such won't exist in the way that it does today. I think we'll find learning more embedded in the flow of work, and it will be contextual, it will be adaptable, and it will be just where you are. So it won't be go over here and take this course and you're done. It will just be those small little nudges all the time. You'll have perhaps an AI sidekick or a companion that knows more about you than you do, that can nudge you and prompt you at that time. Something that would be about being able to nudge somebody with learning based on facial recognition and your reaction to something so that it can detect that. So I think we're seeing a massive shift away from content creation to experience design. Right. So more about how do we make this AI generated insights? How do we give nudges? How do we coach people? And how do we make that uber personalized so that it's just relevant to you? So I think that's some of the key things that I'm seeing now. And there's obviously going to be a journey that different people will go on at different times in terms of their adoption of all of those things. But that's certainly where the technology is taking us at the moment.
Right. I love that. That kind of matches a lot of kind of my hopes and dreams as well. I think we're finally at a technology point where we can actually build the theoretical things that we've talked about for 40 years almost. Yeah. Intelligent tutoring systems were 1989, is when it first started talking about. But fast forward to 2005, I think we actually might be able to build one. Yeah. I think it's amazing stuff. So last question, and I'll let you go. What's something that you believed 5 years ago in our field that now you see completely differently?
Yeah, I think 5 years ago, to think about scale, it meant that you had to compromise on things, but now we're able to find the right tools, design, scale, and unlock things more in a more personalized way with more feedback, more impact, really, really fast. And I think that was not true 5 years ago. I think when I think back to my own learning experience and consumption of that learning, it was like, go and take this compliance training, go and take this thing. And it was very much lecture format things being pushed out to you. And I love that the technology has allowed us to pivot away from that. So we're reducing effort, but we're also simultaneously improving outcomes in what people are doing as well. And I think that's what's really amazing. Like before, you would have to do that in a brick and mortar classroom situation. Right. Now you have the technology to be able to do those assessments, to do skills-based assessments, job tasks, where you can test out on that. You can do simulators on that. We can have sales rep pitch and rapidly within, we did that whole campaign end to end within a month. You're able to validate those skills, give people that information, create the content fast that wraps around an experience like that where you're validating a skill. So those things are very fundamentally different to where it was 5 years ago. And what's even crazy is what was available 12 months ago is different as well. So the next 1 to 3 years in the world of learning is going to be an incredibly exciting tsunami wave to ride, but I'm excited for what that could bring. But more importantly, that we can take learning in a direction where it's not a add-on to a company, and almost like there's often this misnomer with learning and development teams or enablement teams that they're unnecessary and they're the first kind of places that can be cut. But now you're seeing where we can actually make real impact to an organization and how we can do it at scale really, really fast.
I love that. I love that. Validation is finally almost here.
It's taken a while, but we're getting there.
That's it. Well, I mean, I've been going after this for 2.5 decades, and I think we're now becoming a very mission critical part of the organization, and being able to kind of show those success metrics. I mean, being able to take an entire SKO pitch, start to finish, soup to nuts, and being able to execute, deliver, and get feedback within a month. I mean, that's normally 6 months, a year's worth of work, army of people. You guys were able to flip it around insanely fast.
It was, and it was great to be able to capitalize on the investment of that in-person event and do sort of the best of both worlds here. So they got the human experience, they got the AI experience, and they got validation that they'd actually acquired a skill. And even better, it's all part of their skills taxonomy that lives on our learning platform and everything now, that they have actually validated that they can do those things. So it's super important, and that, they're able to celebrate that. And we just continue to lean in more on doing these types of simulations and validations of skills with Bongo as well, and giving people that safe place to learn and grow.
I love it. I love it. I think we'll have to do another session on skills validation and kind of what that means now that we have some technology and we don't have to validate on a multiple choice test.
Yes, correct. It's far more engaging than that.
Exactly. Okay, well, thank you so much for your time today, and looking forward to continue doing awesome projects with you, and hopefully getting a couple more awards out of it, because I think you guys are cooking with gas over at ServiceNow, and you leading that team in the charge is absolutely a pleasure working and seeing how you guys are evolving. So with that, appreciate the time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, all right. Take care.